Is that you? Obito?
Obito Uchiha! I'm gonna get my trademark goggles as well as my Sharingan carved into my great stone face for all to see. This will just keep happening, and all of your flippant words and ideals will become lies. This is the end result of ideals and hope. This is reality. This shall become a world where no one who acknowledges you will exist. The only thing that awaits you is your worst nightmare.
The Indiana Pacers are currently using every single use of a demonic ritual that they somehow do in the locker room before every single game that is approved by the league in order to propel themselves into more than likely the NBA Finals. As of the time I'm recording this video, they have a 3-1 series lead on the New York Knicks, and it's looking more and more likely every single day and every single time they touch the basketball that they can actually compete with the Thunder, who are also up 3-1, so it should be a Thunder-Pacers matchup in the finals. Now, my problem with this Pacers team is that they just overperform in the playoffs, or do they underperform in the regular season? It's one of life's biggest questions. Are they playoff risers, or are they regular season just awful? You know, are they below expectations? Is Tyrese Halliburton just one of the playoff guys that deserves more recognition, or should he be playing better in the regular season? There's so many questions. What devil ritual do they do in the locker room before the game in order to complete these comebacks? There's a lot of questions about the Pacers, but there's only one thing that is clear. There's someone missing from this team. There's one Pacer in specific that should be here, that should be involved, that should be on this team, that should be able to live out these glory days. And there's one guy that comes to mind instantly when I think of Pacers I grew up watching. Now, I'm not going to go as far back as Paul George, but there is a link to Paul George. Everybody in Indiana remembers the days of Domantas Sabonis and Victor Oladipo, where they would go out on the court, they would get them a playoff bid, but they wouldn't really have playoff success. But Victor Oladipo deserves to be there. Victor Oladipo deserves this playoff success, but he's not there due to many injuries and also many just poor choices and contract decisions. Victor Oladipo has found himself outside of the NBA for what has been about a year or two as he's looking to make a comeback. But the problem is that I don't see this comeback happening the older he gets. As you get older, it's harder to come back from these things. And to be honest, I don't really see how Victor Oladipo is going to find himself back on an NBA roster and contend for serious minutes. But how did this all start? How did Victor Oladipo become the Indiana legend that he is today? Well, it's very simple. Born in Silver Spring, Maryland by way of Nigeria, Victor Oladipo grew up playing a lot of basketball, and throughout his high school career was very decent. As a senior, he averaged 12 points, 10 rebounds, and 3.5 blocks a game. He led his high school to a 32-4 record. He was doing very, very good. Now, he was ranked 144th overall in the class, but that didn't stop him from attracting good teams, as he would accept an offer to play at Indiana University in Bloomington, Indiana. He turned down offers from Notre Dame, Maryland, Xavier, and other big schools for the opportunity to play at one of the best college basketball locations there is in the country. Indiana might have struggled this year, but that doesn't turn away from the fact that they have a great culture, a great fan base. Indiana's a good place to play. And one thing we know about Indiana is that it bleeds basketball. Indiana basketball is religion. Basketball makes the world go round. Basketball matters more than anything in Indiana. After some very, very productive years, though, in Bloomington, Victor Oladipo would end up getting drafted 2nd overall in the 2013 NBA draft. Now, this, of course, was one of the worst draft classes of all time. If you take away Giannis and Rudy Gobert, you're really looking at just one of the absolute worst draft classes ever, if not the worst. Now, Giannis does redeem it a little bit, but Anthony Bennett, of course, Otto Porter Jr. was number 3. Alex Len was the 5th pick. It was not pretty. But being drafted by the Orlando Magic 2nd overall, Victor Oladipo held some high expectations. And to be honest, in the 3 seasons in Orlando, Victor Oladipo would play up to those expectations in a very good way. He was barely missing time. He became a regular starter. He would go on and off the bench, but he was still a plus player, playing about 30 minutes a night for the Orlando Magic. He would average 14 to 18 points a game over 3 years, pretty consistently 4 rebounds, 4 assists, a steal and a half, shot pretty decently, got better over the course of his career in Orlando. Started out at 42%, ended closer to 44%, was becoming a better 3-point shooter, not an amazing 3-point shooter, but definitely a better three-point shooter and was becoming really efficient from the free throw line. Victor Oladipo was flourishing in Orlando and looked to be one of the Magic's key players in their push towards an NBA championship, because at the end of the day, every NBA team is building towards a championship. And the Orlando Magic thought, why not have Victor Oladipo lead the way? The problem was, though, is that no one is untouchable in this league. And the Orlando Magic wanted to make a splash for a big player, and Serge Ibaka at the time was one of the biggest defensive centers in the NBA. So the Orlando Magic traded Oladipo, Ersan Ilyasova, and the draft rights to Domantas Sabonis to the Oklahoma City Thunder in exchange for Serge Ibaka. And now Victor Oladipo was now on a new team playing with Russell Westbrook, and the Oklahoma City Thunder needed a spark from him. They needed something to show, something to pop, but the problem was that Victor Oladipo, he was never going to fit next to Westbrook. Victor Oladipo could never make it work next to Westbrook because they're too much of a similar player. Victor Oladipo doesn't really have the shooting bag. I would say he's a better shooter than Westbrook, especially at this time, but it comes down to the fact that Victor Oladipo isn't the perfect 3-and-D player. He's a 3 kind of player with defense and slashing and playmaking and just other stuff that you look for within a good player. So after one season in Oklahoma City, Victor Oladipo's time would come to an end there. And this is where the glory days start. On July 6th of 2017, Victor Oladipo and Domantas Sabonis were traded to the Indiana Pacers in exchange for Paul George. One of the best Indiana Pacers players of all time, Paul George brought excitement to Indiana. He brought star power. He brought everything. He was the complete package. And now all of a sudden, he was a member of the Oklahoma City Thunder. But Victor Oladipo would redeem himself in Indiana. He would only spend 4 seasons in Indiana, but those 4 seasons were just memorable. Very, very memorable. And I remember the excitement I would get from watching Victor Oladipo in a Pacers uniform, especially during his first season there. In his first season in Indiana, 75 games played, 75 of them he started, 34 minutes, 23 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 48% from the field, 37% from 3. Victor Oladipo played like a true all-star level player. He was one of, if not the best player on that team, and was one of the biggest breakout stars, especially after his time with the Thunder, that just never would have worked out. He was named to an all-defensive team. I mean, he averaged 2.4 steals. Victor Oladipo was just breaking out. And then it started happening. Then all of a sudden, his career just started injuries, man. Injuries suck. He would rupture his quad in his right knee in 2019. In 2020, he returned to play after a year-long recovery. But in the next year, he injured his right knee again with the Miami Heat. He then went under season-ending surgery to repair his right torn quad again, and then he suffered a torn patellar tendon in his left knee during a playoff. Victor Oladipo couldn't stay healthy, and his knees couldn't keep up with him. His knees just couldn't keep up with him. And it's very clear when you only play a total of 64 games in your final 3 seasons in Indiana, that it's not going to work. And now Victor Oladipo is going to be a journeyman. He would go to Miami. He would go to Houston. He would even spend time in Memphis. But Victor Oladipo was never the same level of player. Now, I will say, in 20 games for the Houston Rockets, Victor Oladipo averaged 21 points, 5 and 5, 40% from the field, 32% from 3, and he made one of the worst decisions I think that he could have made. On February 2021, Oladipo was offered a 2-year, $45.2 million max extension with the Houston Rockets, and he turned it down. This felt like when Dennis Schroeder turned down that contract from the Lakers. It's a 2-year max contract. Oladipo said no, and the open market was not there for Victor Oladipo. He would end up getting traded to the Miami Heat, and he would sign a veteran minimum deal. He would eventually get a bigger contract, a 2-year, $18 million deal, but it didn't really matter because he left $27 million on the table or something like that. Victor Oladipo left so much money on the table. He then, you want to talk about journeyman. He was traded back to OKC, and then he was traded to the Houston Rockets again. And then from the Houston Rockets, he was traded to the Grizzlies, and then he was waived by the Grizzlies. So Oladipo's done. He's just done. But the reason why I'm making this video is because Victor Oladipo deserves to be there. He is just, from playing college in Indiana to being an Indiana Pacers kind of legend, a 1-season wonder, one of the best seasons in Indiana Pacers history, Victor Oladipo deserves to be there. In my opinion, he deserves this ring. He was exciting to watch. He made Indiana basketball fun. Him and Sabonis were really just a good duo for the 2 total seasons that they played together in total games. But Victor Oladipo, man, what could have been if he didn't get hurt? What could have been if Victor Oladipo didn't get hurt? We'll never know, and that's the sad part. But for now, the biggest what if in Indiana Pacers history, in my opinion, is what if Victor Oladipo didn't get hurt? What if him and Sabonis were able to run the league? And what if Victor Oladipo just kept up his momentum from 2017 to 2018? Would he be a Hall of Famer? Maybe. Would he be, maybe have a ring? Maybe. There's a lot of question marks. There's a lot of things that we'll never know. But one thing's for sure, Oladipo deserves to be there when the Pacers are succeeding this much.